Morning, my viewers. This is Hayodele Samuel Jude, the Smart Tutorial founder. Today, we'll be looking at number basis. Under number basis, we usually talk about two categories of number basis. In this video, I will be giving out the fundamental basis that will help students and teachers to understand this number basis and also to be able to process questions that comes out under number basis. So in this video, I'm going to point out some things that you might not likely find in your textbook, but the essence of this platform is to make mathematics more simpler so that phobia will disappear, and it's by making it simpler. So today we'll be looking at the fundamental basis that students and teachers supposed to know so that they will be able to understand this topic very well. The first thing I want you to know under number basis is, let's start from where you've been taught. Every one of us watching this video, I believe you've all passed through the primary school and the nursery schools. You've had addition and subtractions. During those times, all the numbers we are dealing with, they are in number base 10. I will tell you why they are in number base 10. The first thing I want you to know here is that we have just two categories of number bases. Yes, two categories of number bases. That is, these two categories of number bases, that you will come across. The first one is number base 10. Number base 10. These are the two categories. This is the first one under categories of number basis, and then the other one is other basis. We have just two categories of number basis: the base 10 and the other basis, base 2, base 3, base 4, base 5, base 6, base 7. They are under the same category. Now, in your primary school and nursery schools, you've been taught how to do additions and subtractions, multiplication. All those numbers, they are under base 10. Before we go into examples, there are still some things I want you to know. Under the number basis, there is a particular law that guides them, and that law is just that in any basis, all the figures there, they must not be more than that base. For example, in base 10, all the number in base 10 must not be more than base 10. For example, in base 2, all the number that are in that base, that are in that number, must not be more than base 2. This is what I'm trying to say. 101 base 2. Look at this. This is a good number now. This is in base 2. This is 101 base 2. This number is in base 2. It's not possible to have a number that is 102 base 2. This is wrong. This is wrong, totally wrong. Because 2, the base is 2. So the number must be lower than the base. So when you see a question like this, just know that the examiner don't know what is certain. If you have a number that is like this, base 3, the examiner does not know what he's saying, because 4 is more than 3. So the number cannot be in base. This number cannot be in base 3. This number cannot be in base 4. So this number can be in base 5, base 6, base 7, base 8. So any number, the number must not be more than the base. It must be something lower than the base all the time. Are we together? Now, when I was explaining the other time, I made mention that most of the topic we have been taught dealing with numbers in our nursery and primary school, they are in base 10. This is what I'm trying to say in essence. As in, Let's look at this number together. Solve. In your primary school, you'll be given numbers like this. Solve 7503 minus 862. They will not put any base there. You just see 7,503 minus 862. This number, they are in base 10. That is the truth. They are in base 10, but our teachers didn't tell us those days. Now let's look at it. 7, 5. If you remember, we used to have a 2b, and they are in buses. That 2b, you can only write single number inside one bus. If you can still remember, something like this. Our 2b note is always like this. For those of us that were opportune to meet those notes, our mathematics notes, our teacher will tell us to write one number inside one bus. Now, if you look at this number, it's not more than 10. This one is not more than 10. This one is not more than 10. This one is not more than 10. Not more than 10. Each of the number is no more than 10. Then we put our. Now we want to do subtraction. 3 minus 2. The answer is 1. Don't forget, this is our answer here. The answer is 1. 0 minus 6. We borrow 1 from here. It will remain 4. Then we put 1 here, making 10. It's lie. It's not 1 that we borrow. If we remove 1 from here and put it here, this is 10 plus 0. That is the truth. It's what? 10 plus 0. 10 plus 0 will give us 10. If you remember now, that means we are working in base 10. That is, the 1 we borrow here, yes, we put it here, making 10. What the 0 has changed to 10. What happened to 0 that make it to change to 10 is because the 1 we borrow from here is 10. Let's assume we are working in base 2. If we borrow 1 here, we are going to add 2 to any number that is here. If we are working in base 3, if you borrow 1, you are going to add 3 to the number that is here. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Let's calm down. We borrow 1 from this 5, it gives 4. We borrow 1 from 5, it remains 4. So the 1, we transfer it to this 0, making 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. Now, this is 4 here. 4 minus 8, we borrow 1 again from here. This one remains 6. We put the 1 to this 4, making 14. If we add 1 to 4, it's supposed to be 5 now, right? But we write 14. What happens to the 4 is we add 10 to the 4 that make it 14. That is why we have 14 here. So the 1 that we put here is not just 1, it's 10. Because they did not put any number under it, it is in base 10. And in any question you are working and dealing with, any number you are dealing with that does not have any base under it like this is in base 10. That is the truth. You will not see it in your textbook, but that is the truth, is in what? Base 10. Now, this is 14. 14 minus 8. That will give us 6. Then this is nothing is there. Don't forget we are working with minus. So our answer is this. Everything that we have done here is our normal nursery and primary school, but everything that we were doing that time is base 10. Because anytime we borrow 1, we add 10 to the next number. Because we are working in base 10. If we are working in base 3, if you borrow 1 and you want to transfer the 1, you will not transfer the 1. You will add the base to that number. Are we together now? Now let's try to solve this question in another format. Let's assume we are given 7503 plus 867. 7503. These are primary school questions these are things that we've known before. We are just using it. This one is minus, this one we are using plus. Now let's look at what we have here. Please, let's make this one to be 9. I want us to get something that's have 10. Now, this is 3 plus 7. The answer is 10. We cannot write 10. We write 0. We transfer 1 to here. Now let me tell you, what we are doing here is base 10. That is why you remember the law I told you earlier. You cannot write, the number you write must not be more than the base. Each number you write inside that box, that small boxes that we used to have in our 2B, any number you put inside must not be more than the base. We are working in base 10. That is the reason you can't write what? Base 10. And that you can't write 10. Instead of 10, you remove 10 from the number. 10 minus 10 is 0. You write 0. Then how many 10 did you have here? We have just one 10. Then we put 1 here. It's not that one that is at the back. No. If it is 20, that means how many 10 do we have in 20 is 2 times. So you put 2. Now let's continue. 1 plus 0 plus 6, this one will give us 7. This is 5 plus 8. This is 13. Now, how many 10 do we have in 13? How many 10 do we have in 13? Is 1 10. Just the 10 is 1 time. Then it will remain 3. So we put, how many times do we have the 10 in that 13? Is 1 time. Then we put the 1 here. 1 plus 9. 10. You cannot write the 10 again. If you write the 10, you have missed it. You write, how many 10 do we have in 10? Is 1 time. You put the 1 times here. But you know, this is, don't forget that when we were taking 1 from here, we were adding 10. So that means here we will be, instead of writing 10, we'll be subtracting 10. This is 10 minus 10, 0. Here is 13 minus 10, 3. Here will be 10 minus 10, 0. Then this is the remaining 1. We put the 1 here. This 1 is coming from the 10 that we have minus from the 10 we have here. Are we together? That is, how many bundle of 10 do we have here? Is just 1. We transfer the 1 here. But the answer, after you have removed the 10, what is left is what you write here. I hope it's clear. So this is just what we have learned, before in our nursery and primary school. Everything we do that time, during those days, they are in what? Base 10. So another thing I'll claim it now. Another thing I want us to look at is during conversion, you cannot, okay, let me just explain it fast, I'm sorry. Under the number base, there are some things that I said you have to note. And those things is that we have just 2 types of bases. When you are working in number bases, we have just 2 types of what? Bases. Now, another thing we do under number bases is conversion. Now, under the conversion, there are 2 things. It is either you divide or you expand. When you divide something, you make it small. When you expand it, you make it big. That is the 2 things we do. That is, under conversion, you can only what? You can use your division method, and we can also use our what? Expansion method. Expansion method. Now, that is, you use the base to divide. Here you use the base to expand. Now, if you want to go from, when you are converting, you can only convert from base 10 to other bases, or from other bases to base 10. You cannot convert other bases directly to the other bases. For example, they ask you to convert 101 to base 3. You cannot convert, this question is a technical question. You can't convert from base 2 directly to base 3. You must know that you have to go back to the normal number, which is base 10. Our base 10 is our what? Is our normal number. That is the normal number we used to use before when we are dealing normal number. The normal number that we used to deal with before when you are when you are doing your mathematics in your primary school and nursery school, those numbers are in what? Base 10. If you understand those ones very well, know that you can't convert from base 2 to base 3. You have to do what? Convert from base 2 to base 10 first, then you come back to base 3. That is, what am I trying to say? That is, first, you have to move from what? Base 2 to base 10. Then you now convert it back to what? Base 3. If they ask you to convert from base 4 to base 5, you have to move from base 4 to base 10, then from base 10 to base 4. So you can't convert these other numbers to themselves directly. You have to go back to the normal number, then you now go back to the other bases. That is why I told you the other time earlier that we have just two bases. That is the base 10 and other bases. So you now know the reason why we have just two categories of number bases. That is because you can't convert from any basis to another basis directly without converting it to base 10. And another thing I want you to know is that you cannot add different bases together. No. The two numbers you are adding must be in the same number. For example, the number we have added in the first example, they are in base 10. Sometimes they will put the 10 under it, sometimes they will not put the 10. So it is your responsibility as a student that, oh, this number they don't put base 10 is in base 10. Most of the time they will put the right basis there. But for you to differentiate between the teacher that understand what he's doing or not, sometimes they will want to test your intelligence as a student. So you must be able to know that, oh, this question is okay. In a standard question, they will always give you the correct question. That is it. But note that I made mention of something earlier. Always check the base and the number. That is where to know if what you are given is right or wrong. And also base 10. At times, is not. If I did not put this 101 base 2, if I write it as 101 without putting anything, this is base 10. That is just it. That means this one is what? Is in base 10. And I also talked about you cannot convert other bases to the other bases directly. You have to go to base 10, which is normal number before. Now, if you look at it now, base 2 is going to base 10. Base 10 is, you want to make it big. That means you have to what? Do expansion. You have to do expansion, which is what? Which is still the same thing as multiplication. That is, you have to do when you multiply something, you make it bigger. And when you add, you make it what? Bigger also. So expansion, I will still teach you this method in the subsequent video. But just know this fundamental basis in number base. Before, in my subsequent video, I will give some examples on how to solve different questions in number base. Now, base 2 to base 10, you're making it bigger. That is, you have to expand, multiply. Those of you that have known how to convert from base 2 to base 10, and you will be remembering you'll be trying to remember that, oh, that means I'm making it bigger by multiplication, all those times this raised to power this, all those things. Now, the other one is from base 10 to base 3. You are making it smaller. That is, you'll be doing what? You are doing division here. And if you look at it, you are not just only doing division, you are doing division and subtraction. If you look at the method that you are using in converting base 10 number to base 3 number, you see that those methods, they are what? It's like you are making it smaller. Base 10 is bigger than 3, so and you are going down. So it's like you are dividing it. That is when you start doing that division and you subtract, division, you subtract, division, you subtract. So that is what, this is how, these are the basic things you will need under what? Number basis. Remember, when you are converting, why do we convert? That is, sometimes they may give you two different bases. You cannot solve the two bases together if they are not the same. So the base must be the same. If they give you, if you are given in any question to solve like if you are given in any question to solve maybe 101 base 2 plus 101 base 3, the two bases are different, and they ask you your answer must be in base, if they ask you your answer must be in base 2, that this one is in base 2 already. So that means your problem now is this one. You have to convert this one to base 2. How do you convert this one to base 2 before you add it to this? That means you have to convert base 3 to base 10 first, then from base 10 back to base 2, because you need your answer in base 2 and this one is in base 2. Then when you get this one in base 2, then you now add it with this. Your answer will now be in base 2. But the method of adding in base 2 and subtracting in base 2 is different from the method of adding that you have been taught back in your primary school days, which is base 10. Anywhere you are putting that 10, instead of putting 10, you put what? You add 2 plus 2, not just put. This time you will not put. It's not put, we add. We add 10. Now, instead of add 10, when you borrow, you add, if you are working in base 2, you add 2 to that number. I hope we have been able to get one or two things under this topic, under this video, which is the fundamental basis of number basis. Just know that we have those two categories of number basis, which is number base 10 and base 2. Under conversion of basis, there are two methods. Division, you are making it smaller. That is from a big base 10 to smaller bases. Expansion, from other bases back to base 10. So you can either move from base 10 to other bases and other bases to base 10. You cannot move from other bases to other bases directly. So thanks you for watching the video. In our subsequent video, I will try to make a more concrete, I will make more examples on this. Please, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, share the videos to others, and let them have one or two things to enjoy. Thanks.